Hello everyone, and welcome back to Soul MCA's channel. I am here for you today with something a little different, but before we get into it, I'm going to ask that you like and subscribe if you indeed do like this video. And for my normal viewers, if you do like this kind of content, definitely let me know if this was useful to you. Today, I'm going to answer a question I've been getting from, I guess I should call you guys super users, that list of people that I left on screen in my last video. If you haven't seen that, I will tag that here as well. My super users, about how he can practice personally on his own. And so I figured I'd just do a product review as well as a product use type of video on this that I have here in my hands, the Focusrite Scarlett i4. Now, I've got to say a couple of things on this. I've had this Scarlett for quite a bit of time, so much so that if you see, the word Focusrite is basically almost gone. I think I've had this unit for probably 5 years or so. Still the original unit, never had to get it serviced or anything like that. And it comes with this trusty cord that I believe is called a USB A to B. And this is the original cord. Now, I will say something about that in a few seconds, but as of right now, let's just keep talking about this Scarlett. Okay, so this unit, as you can see, right here, we have two inputs, and I like these inputs because you can use them as both 1/4-inch ends as well as XLR ends, and just so we're clear, this Focusrite is what's called an audio interface, all right? And what it can do is it can take your analog sound from either that XLR, maybe on a mic, your 1/4-inch, which might be from your bass guitar, as we are bass players here, or even a keyboard, whatever the case is, and it will take that analog sound and convert it to a digital sound for it to go into your computer for things like recording. Or it can take music playing digitally from your computer and do the reverse and spit it out as an analog sound with the outputs that are on the back. But I'm going to get to that in a second. So again, on this unit, going from left to right, but you're probably your right to left, we have the first input, and again, it is one of those 1/4-inches / XLRs. You can put in both or either. Then there is a gain knob right next to it, and it gives you the 0 to 10 on the unit right there at the bottom, so that you know the more you turn that towards clockwise is the louder it will get. And around the gain is an actual indicator light. So you'll see different colors. You'll see green to let you know that you are getting sound. You'll see yellow if you're starting to peak a little bit, and you'll see red if you're in danger. Matter of fact, let me see if I can force that demonstration here. With a 1/4-inch cable that I have here, I'm gonna see if I could just force it to give us some colors so you can see all three of those colors. So, of course, it's not gonna do anything. Ah, yes, because it's not plugged in. That's why it's not registering those sounds. So we'll get back to that in a second. Then you have a line for, you have a switch for line or instrument. Obviously, I use the instrument side for when I'm using an instrument, but when I'm talking on my mic, like I do for our lessons, I will go to the line side. You've got a pad button, then you've got a repetition of those exact same things. Then you have this 48-volt button, which is also called phantom power. And for the specific mic that I need, I do need phantom power, which is an additional boost that is not given from the product itself. So I have mine pushed in at this time. Then you have the option for stereo and mono. And there is an indicator light here for MIDI that goes green. I don't think you all can even see that. I'll hold it up very close to the camera in a second. And then another light that shows you that you are connected to USB right next to that MIDI. And you have an input and playback knob, which we'll talk a little bit about in a second too. The further left it is the more volume it will give you in the headphones or going out of the back to whatever speaker system you may have it hooked up to. It will give you more of the input, which you have plugged in, like your instrument, your bass, or maybe your mic. And if you push it, if you slide it more towards the right side, you'll get playback. So maybe you're playing something on your computer, like a song or a track you just made, you'll be able to hear that over the other. It's kind of like a blend knob on your bass where you can choose between the front pickup and the back pickup. I'm so glad we're all bass players here, I could just talk in bass. Then you have this large knob here which controls the volume of your monitor. So if you do have something plugged into the back that's hooked up, you can control the volume here, how loud the unit is going. Let's say you've got your computer to the max and the track is low, you can then turn up the monitor volume here as well. Then we have a source switch that gives us 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and wherever that is switched to, you will get volume coming out of those sources. And lastly, you have your headphone jack, which is a 1/4 inch length, or a 1/4 inch size, I'm sorry. So your regular standard 1/8 headphone jacks that are on our headphones or headsets that come with our cell phones would not work in here. You would need an extender, or you would need to get headphones that have the 1/4 inch, the studio type headphones that have the 1/4 inch jack. And of course it has its own volume knob there as well for that. So let me show you a little closer, just so you can see all of that. All right, as my camera's struggling to focus a little bit here, it looks like. But our input, our gain knob, our instrument switch, instrument/line, our 48 volt right there, got our knob for playback and input, our stereo mono, and you see our MIDI light and our USB connection light, our large monitor volume, our headphone jack, and our headphone volume. Now on the back of this unit, we've got a couple different inputs or outputs that we can have. You have your line out for 2 1/4 inches. You can do 1 and 2, and they will come out separately. You have your line outputs for, I just call these RCAs. That probably isn't the correct term, but I grew up in a time where you had like N64 and stuff like that, and those red, white, and yellows, I'm just used to calling them RCAs. And then you have MIDI in and a MIDI out, and then that is where your USB switch is going to go, or your USB cord is gonna go, and your USB cord will look like that on that side. All right, funky looking thing, almost like a printer. You plug it in right there as such, and then you can plug this side into the side of your laptop. Now in a second, I'm going to move the camera so you can see my computer as well as the Focusrite a little better, but I just wanted to show you now that it's connected. You see that green light? That is showing me that I'm indeed connected. That red light there is the 48 volt that I have depicted that I usually use for my mic in that first piece. Now that my volumes are all down, because you want to make sure you don't blow anything, I'm going to now show you that gain indicator color. See that as I plug in, you saw that quick green switch. All right, if I plug it out there. Now, let me just turn this on real quick and give it a test. And we are going to purposefully try to redline this gain so you can see what will happen if you are in danger of blowing something. Right now, all my volumes are down. You don't want to do this without your volumes down. But actually, I'm not even getting enough gain there. All right, that is my mic line. That's why. Let's put it in our music line, instrument line. And let's turn that gain all the way up. And you see that orange and red there? That's danger. You're pushing too loud at that point, all right? I'm gonna turn that back down to a good volume so that my next bass video, you guys are not blown away by my bass, and unplug that here. All right, and now I'm gonna just move the camera over and we'll talk about this unit a little bit more and how you can use it to practice for yourself. All right, so I want to talk to you all about why this is important to us as bass players, or why this product could be important to us. I am a music director here at my local church, and I use this to play my click tracks. I also use this Focusrite, this Scarlett here. I use it for click tracks. I use it, like I said, for my videos that I do on YouTube, so it's very useful for me there. You will need a program like a DAW. This right here that you see open is Ableton. Ableton Live 10, and I want to show you all something real quick, just in case there's anyone out there who's struggling with this. I had to learn this the hard way. When you connect your Focusrite, even if you had it set properly previously, if your laptop is on and you go to plug it in and you go to play something like, I want to play this click track right here, right? Well, for one, it's not wanting to play. But part of that reason it might not be wanting to play is because it is not set up properly to come out of here. Now, I am hooked up currently to the church's sound system, and so when I go to play this, it will play out of the church's speakers, but normally I would have headphones in or I would have it connected to a speaker at home. I am going to release that at this time, and we are going to, oh, hold on. We have one issue. When you're trying to send sound to something, you might want to take the back of the unit here and plug something in to it, such as a 1/4 inch. And I'm sorry, it's not in focus. All right, so I just plugged my 1/4 inch in there, and now I'll be sending the sound out of this. But even though this is now currently set up properly, watch this. My click track is actually playing right now, and this is Fruit Loops. My click track is playing, but as you can see, there's nothing being heard. The sound system is on, everything is off of mute, and it took me a couple Sundays, this happened to me a few random Sundays until I finally figured out, regardless of if you're using Ableton or not, the Ableton engine has to be utilized. So you've got to go in here under Options, go in here under Preferences, and you can't read it, but this little message all the way at the bottom in red, at the bottom of my screen that you all can't even see right now, I'm sorry, hold on. There's a message here in red that you're seeing right here at the bottom of the screen that says, the audio engine is off. Please check here to choose the audio device from Live's audio preferences. So when you go to Preferences under Options, it is going to give me the option, and you're going to hear the music is going to start playing immediately once I do this. ASO is the driver that I need, and audio device, I go to Focusrite, and immediately I'm going to turn up the volume here. You hear the click track coming out. But trust me, you always want to go through that step. So anytime you get disconnected but your computer is still on and your Focusrite is not connected, do that so that you won't have to worry about that issue. All right, let's stop that track. So now you can hear that the click track is playing along in the background. If I had headphones on, I can put my headphones in there and I can have my bass plugged into either 1 or 2 on this unit, and then I could play along silently for no one else to hear but myself with high fidelity audio. You could play something like a regular track. I do still use Windows Media Player, don't judge me. I'm gonna play something that I know no one else has and it's not a copyright issue. Now I could plug my bass in and I could be playing to this, or I could have my microphone in and I could be talking over this. All right, so there are those options there, and then obviously you could record into this as well. So let me talk to you about what I like and don't like about this unit. I like the durability. Like I said, I've had this for at least 5 years. It's probably been more. It has served me great for recording songs. I actually recorded the track that you hear in my opening song was made on this very Focusrite right here, this very Scarlett i4, just using keyboard, using bass guitar, and plugging it into this system here. So it is great, and I used Ableton as well to help me record that, so that is great. But there are a few little catchy things, like the thing I just showed you, that can get frustrating about this, but that was never an issue before I got Ableton. Please keep that in mind. The other thing you need to be mindful of, that you can have sound, think you're playing sound and nothing will come out, is this little button right here, right? The playback input switch. I wish my focus on this camera was better, a little closer. If you are playing something, let's go back to this click track. Right? And right now I have it all the way up to the playback, right? And I know why it's not playing. I don't have it that loud in the house. Turn it up a little bit in the house. All right, now you can really hear it. So, turn that down a little. If I take the playback now, actually I'm gonna go back to that volume, and start to roll it down, I'm rolling it back the other way, right? You hear it's getting quieter and quieter. I haven't touched the volume in the house anymore. And now it's all the way over to the input side, and you can no longer hear the track playing in the background, even though the track is still playing in the background. So depending on what you're doing during the week, then at times I come here to church ready to play with my Focusrite, and the guys are like, hey, I can't hear this, or I can't hear that. Sometimes it's an issue right here, not at the computer, but I might have the input rolled off. Or sometimes I'll put the monitor volume down, and if the monitor volume is down, let me go back to putting it up, and then putting the blend back up. I can send more volume to the house, but if my volume is all the way off, there's no volume getting to the house. So there's a lot of things that you have to pay attention to with this unit, otherwise you're gonna have an issue and have ink on your face. And this is where sound tests come in, all right? Always do a sound check before you get going on anything to make sure little incidents like that are avoided. But I love this thing, even the grip on the bottom. Because I bought this so long ago, I'm not sure if the other Scarletts operate like this. I'm not sure if they have as many options on the back. The recent ones I've seen, I have not seen that many outputs. But what I like about this is, and I wish I would have thought about it before to show you, if I was in something like Ableton and I had a track set up, and let's say I had the drums on one track and I had the bass on another track, through the back of this unit, I could send, let's say, the bass through track 1, and it would go through wherever I have this plugged in, and then I could have the drums on another track coming through track 2. And I could control the volumes independently. So there have been a few instances where I've been the only musician, or maybe one of 2 musicians, and I still wanted a bass player and I had to play drums, or I had to play drums and I wanted a bass player, or I had to play bass and I wanted a drummer. What I would do is set this up so that I would hook up to one amplifier the bass only. I would go to channel 1 to the bass only, and then channel 2 to another amplifier, and put the drums through that also. That way, when I turn up the whole track, I'm not getting one thing overpowering the other. I can independently control on each of those amplifiers each of those things that happen. And that's what I love about the multiple outputs that you have here that you can control with this switch in the front. So I highly recommend this. And Scott, hopefully this answers your questions about how this unit would work and how you can practice with it and still be quiet. You wouldn't need to have an amplifier with this. Just plug your headphones in and play whatever you're playing on your computer, and it will play along. The only reason it's playing out here is because I have it set so that you all can hear it. I would give you demonstrations, but my videos are enough. You all are hearing how loud the bass is, how clear the bass is in my videos. You're hearing how clear my voice is on the microphones, and all of that is recorded right here. So you already know how the unit sounds itself. If you have any other questions on this lovely unit, let me know. If there's anything else that I did not answer that you would like answered, let me know. If you're thinking about getting one, talk to me and I'll tell you whether or not it's best for you. I do think it's great, especially if you want to start recording sooner rather than later. But that's all for now. I've said enough. I'm Soul MCA. Have a good one. Last thing I wanted to say to you all about this particular Focusrite. I've said I've had it for about 5 years or so, and I started to talk to you about this cord and never got back to that point. Recently, even today in service, I was getting a clicking sound. Click, 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 every like 5 seconds. And I've noticed in some of my recordings, even for YouTube, as well as some recordings I've been sending people, when I go back to listen to the audio, occasionally there is a click or like a spike in the sound. And at this point, I'm not sure if that is the Focusrite. My speculation is that the cord is beginning to get bad, or it could even be the USB that I'm in. So I have purchased a new cord. I haven't tried it yet, but once I get it, I'm gonna start with that first, and maybe I'll keep you all up to date later on to see if that was the issue. For those that are thinking about longevity or whatever the case is, this will be a whole lot cheaper. This cord will be a whole lot cheaper to replace than a computer or than a new Focusrite. But I'll let you know in a future video. I won't do a whole video on a review. I'll just briefly say in one of my videos, hey, I fixed it, everything is all right, all right? So I will let you know. God bless, take care again.